Hello, students. This is your lecture about a short story. Oh, sorry about that. But this is about the short essay, form, not plot, in a short story by Sherwood Anderson. Now, a lot of Sherwood Anderson is covering a lot of things in the story. There are things that he's really curious about. There are things he's really interested in. But very primarily, he does seem to be exploring this idea of what words and the language that is used in a short story. And as we can see, what he is really excited about and curious about is this idea of language as it exists in the world, as opposed to a very idealized kind of language. He wants to kind of hear words as they are heard on the street, and he's interested in the words matching the speaker. So, as we can see, like there are, there are moments then for what have always been called by our correct writers unprintable words. So he's not interested in a very sanitized story. He wants to see how people actually speak to each other, how they actually act toward each other. And so if we kind of turn it over and we can see, he's interested in that tale that matches. Okay. See how had one, was the tale he was telling not just the tale of a man named Smoky Pete and how he caught his foot in a trap set for himself, or perhaps one was giving him the Mama Geegan story. The devil. What had the words of such a tale to do with Thackeray or Fielding? Did the men to whom one told the tale not know a dozen Smoky Petes and Mama Geegans? Had one ventured into the classic English models for tale telling, at the moment there would have been a roar. What the devil? Don't you go high-toning us. And it was sure one did not always seek a laugh from his audience. Sometimes one wanted to move the audience, make them squirm with sympathy. Perhaps one wanted to throw an altogether new light on a tale the audience already knew. Would the common words of our daily speech in shops and offices do the trick? Surely the Americans among whom one sat talking had felt everything the Greeks had felt, everything the English felt. Death came to them, the tricks of fate assailed their lives. I was certain none of them lived, felt, or talked as the average American novel made them live, feel, and talk. And as for the plot short stories of the magazines, those bastard children of de Maupassant, Poe, and O. Henry, it was certain there are no plot short stories ever lived in any life I had known anything about. And so, interestingly enough, what Anderson is kind of pushing against are these highly plotted, structured short stories, the kind that, O. Henry is very famous for. If you've ever read The Gift of the Magi or The Lady or the Tiger, these are highly form-centric short stories that really kind of like revealed with themselves on a twist. Or with Poe, as we can see, Poe has been, writing for us, already, and his idea of what a great short story is and what the idea is. Anderson is pushing back on that. He's not interested in a highly plotted, directionally focused short story. What he wants to see is the form. He wants to see the language in it. He wants to see the emotion in it. He wants to kind of see, those feelings and those commonalities of people and experiences. And he's very curious about the language that's used in order to tell the story. So if you are using Anderson as a lens of looking at things, you really kind of look at, where do I see the language that is, that is recognizable to my ear? Where do I see kind of people speaking as people, as opposed to kind of stilted kind of set pieces? That's, he's looking for that naturalism in a short story. So I hope that this has been very useful. I do like, this particular essay very much. It's 1924. It's obviously, it has aged significantly. Like, you're not going to hear someone saying, don't you go high toning me. But we can also kind of think about, various times, like, what is the language people use? And we see that in various, we see, the language of, our commonality and, that sounds natural to us in speech. We can see the difference between that and a more stilted, sanitized language that we might see elsewhere.